Welcome to our video, 10 places that might soon be closed off to tourists. As travel becomes more accessible, the impact on some of the world's most cherished destinations has grown increasingly concerning. From environmental degradation to overcrowding, numerous iconic sites are now facing the threat of restricted access. Join us as we explore 10 remarkable locations around the globe that may soon be off limits to visitors, highlighting the urgent need to protect these natural and cultural treasures. 1. The Great Barrier Reef, Australia. The Great Barrier Reef is facing a heartbreaking crisis that's hard to ignore. Recent research from the Australian Institute of Marine Science shows that over half of its coral has died since the 1990s. The main culprits are rising sea temperatures and ocean acidification, which trigger devastating coral bleaching events. Pollution from agriculture and coastal development adds another layer of stress, making recovery even tougher for marine life. In 2025, Australian authorities are actively considering stricter tourism controls, such as closing off popular sections to give the reef a fighting chance. Conservationists warn that without immediate intervention, the reef's incredible biodiversity could vanish before our eyes. These possible restrictions are stirring debate, as tourism is a major source of income for local communities. Still, experts say that if current trends continue, the Great Barrier Reef may soon be off limits to most tourists, with only limited access for scientific research and conservation work. 2. Machu Picchu, Peru. Machu Picchu's ancient stones have felt the footsteps of millions, but that constant stream of visitors is taking a toll. The Peruvian government reported that more than 1.5 million tourists visited the site in 2023, sparking alarm among archaeologists about erosion and damage. Studies from UNESCO and Peru's Ministry of Culture highlight how excessive tourism is weakening the fragile terraces and stonework. In 2025, authorities are discussing new measures, such as drastically limiting daily visitors and enforcing stricter reservation systems to help the site recover. There's talk of closing popular trails entirely to allow nature and history to breathe again. Local guides and residents are concerned about lost income, but many agree that urgent action is needed to prevent irreversible damage. Environmentalists are also pushing for tighter rules on activities around the site to shield the mountain ecosystem. If these proposals move forward, Machu Picchu could soon become a quieter, more protected wonder, if at the cost of fewer eyes admiring its majesty. 3. Venice, Italy. Venice's enchanting canals and historic beauty are under siege from too many admirers. In 2024 alone, the city saw over 30 million visitors, pushing its ancient infrastructure to the brink, according to the Italian National Institute of Statistics. The crowds clog narrow alleys, strain public services, and sometimes even make daily life unbearable for locals. In response, city leaders are considering bold steps, like introducing a tourist tax and requiring advance reservations for hotspots like St. Mark's Basilica. Flooding from rising sea levels only complicates the situation, making it harder to preserve the city's treasures. Environmental experts warn that without decisive action, some neighborhoods could soon be closed to tourists. Residents often voice frustration about their city being treated like a theme park. These proposals aim to restore balance, but they might mean that spontaneous strolls through Venice's most famous sites will soon be a thing of the past. 4. Galapagos Islands, Ecuador. The Galapagos Islands, a haven for wildlife found nowhere else, are feeling the squeeze from ever-growing tourist numbers. In 2023, over 300,000 visitors made their way to this unique archipelago, according to the Galapagos National Park. Conservationists worry that such traffic is accelerating habitat loss and introducing invasive species that threaten native animals. The Ecuadorian government is now considering closing off certain islands or sensitive zones, especially breeding grounds for iconic species like giant tortoises and blue-footed boobies. New rules could cap daily visitor numbers and require licensed eco-guides for every group, starting as soon as late 2025. The World Wildlife Fund warns that unless strict measures are taken, the Galapagos' fragile ecosystems could be irreparably changed. Local businesses that depend on tourism are anxious, but many recognize that long-term survival trumps short-term profit. These looming changes mean that future trips to the islands might be much more exclusive and much more expensive. 5. Yellowstone National Park, USA. Yellowstone National Park, the wild heart of America, has become a victim of its own popularity. In 2023, the park drew over 4 million visitors, causing traffic jams, litter, and disturbances to wildlife, according to the National Park Service. Rangers have reported increased incidents of people straying off trails, damaging fragile geothermal features and vegetation. In response, the park is moving forward with plans for timed entry systems at top attractions like Old Faithful and the Grand Prismatic Spring, potentially starting later in 2025. The U.S. Geological Survey has also raised alarms about climate change, as more frequent wildfires threaten the landscape. Some areas of the park may be closed seasonally to support habitat recovery. While these restrictions remain controversial, especially among tourism-dependent businesses, officials stress that tough decisions today are essential to preserve Yellowstone's natural treasures for generations to come. 6. The Amazon Rainforest, South America. The Amazon rainforest is often described as the planet's lungs, but those lungs are struggling to breathe. Deforestation rates in 2023 jumped 15% compared to the previous year, according to the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics. Illegal logging, mining, and expanding agriculture are the main drivers, but rising ecotourism is also having an impact. Governments in Brazil, Peru, and Colombia are now contemplating major restrictions on tourist access to sensitive regions, especially indigenous reserves and biodiversity hotspots. As of 2025, visitors may now need special permits, and entire areas are being considered for restricted access, reserved only for scientists and forest guardians. Conservation groups warn that without such protective measures, the Amazon's legendary biodiversity could collapse, threatening countless species with extinction. Indigenous leaders have voiced both hope and worry, hoping for less disruption, but fearing lost livelihoods. This delicate balancing act makes the future of Amazon tourism uncertain and increasingly exclusive. 7. Santorini, Greece. Santorini's iconic blue-domed churches and breathtaking sunsets have made it a magnet for travelers, but the island is buckling under the weight of mass tourism. The Hellenic Statistical Authority reports that over 2 million tourists visited in 2023, often overwhelming the island's narrow streets and limited resources. Locals complain of crowded beaches, water shortages, and skyrocketing rents driven by short-term vacation rentals. The Greek government is considering introducing entrance fees for popular villages like Oya and limiting the number of cruise ships allowed to dock each day. As of 2025, visitors may now be required to book reservations to access the island's most photographed spots during peak season. These changes are hotly debated, as tourism is Santorini's economic lifeblood. While some businesses fear losing customers, others see the necessity of protecting the island's unique charm and environment. The future may bring fewer crowds, but also fewer chances for spontaneous, postcard-perfect moments. 8. Stonehenge, England. Stonehenge stands as a mysterious relic of ancient times, but its popularity is putting its survival at risk. English Heritage, the organization managing the site, recorded more than 1.6 million visitors in 2023. Concerns are mounting over soil erosion, litter, and even minor vandalism from tourists eager to get close to the stones. To address the issue, authorities have begun considering closing off parts of the monument or implementing strict timed entry tickets starting this year. Conservationists argue that these steps are essential to preserving Stonehenge's integrity for future generations. The BBC has reported growing support for restricting access, especially during peak tourist seasons. Local businesses worry about the impact on revenues, but many agree that preservation must come first. If these plans move forward, seeing Stonehenge up close may become a rare privilege rather than a common experience. 9. Petra, Jordan. Petra, the legendary city carved into rose-red cliffs, is drawing crowds like never before, but at a heavy price. Official statistics from the Jordan Tourism Board show that over 1 million people visited in 2023, raising alarms among archaeologists about the site's fragile sandstone facades. Increased rainfall, attributed to climate change, has caused dangerous erosion and flash floods that threaten the ancient monuments. The Jordanian government is responding by weighing temporary closures of popular trails and restricting access to vulnerable tombs and temples. Restoration projects are underway, but experts warn that without a break from constant foot traffic, damage may become irreversible. UNESCO has highlighted Petra as a site at risk, calling for urgent international cooperation. Local guides and shop owners feel torn between protecting their heritage and earning a living. In the coming years, visiting Petra may require more planning and flexibility, with parts of the city off limits for extended periods. 10. The Taj Mahal, India. The Taj Mahal, shimmering in the Indian sun, faces a silent enemy: pollution and overcrowding. Data from the Archaeological Survey of India reveal that over 7 million tourists visited in 2023, straining both the monument's marble and the surrounding environment. Airborne pollutants are causing the once bright facade to yellow, prompting officials to consider restricting access during periods of high pollution. The government is also looking at limiting visitor numbers during peak hours and requiring advance bookings for entry. Environmentalists are urging the closure of nearby factories and stricter controls on vehicular traffic to protect the site. The Times of India has reported growing calls from conservationists to close the monument entirely for restoration several days each month. These proposed measures are controversial, as the Taj is a vital source of pride and income for the region. If stricter limits are enforced, future travelers may find the Taj Mahal more elusive than ever before.